All right, hello YouTube. It is February, oh my goodness, 15th? 16th, it's Sunday. I just had this thought, it's interesting, like one of the things I've noticed about learning, there's an idea in medical research called, now I'm getting education. In education, there's this idea called the zone of proximal development. And it means that area of growth possible just beyond where you're at. And that's, as an educator, that's where I would want to always be with my students. Not over challenging them so much that they become discouraged, but not under challenging them or making something so easy that they don't want to do it. But then in medical research, there's this idea, and it might apply in other fields too, called the zone of the, I think it's called the zone of the adjacent possible. And so oftentimes as I'm listening to a book, like I've mentioned in previous videos, or a previous video, I'm listening to this book on making the 10 Commandments of Making Money by this rabbi. And then it caused me to think about why it is that I really like van life so much. And really what it is like, so there are different kinds of personalities or identities. And my personality, like if you're familiar with the Enneagram, which if you're not, I highly recommend looking into it. A really good book for the Enneagram is The Road Back to You, is what the book is called, The Road Back to You. And I think let's see, I'm not quite sure what the author's first name is, but it's a pretty popular book. I think it has a yellow cover. But anyways, so there, psychologically and spiritually, there are certain fundamental unchanging identities. Now, each of these identity architectures is unchanging, but they do vary on a continuum of highly functional to dysfunctional in essence. And so there are 9 of these, according to Enneagram wisdom literature, there are 9 of these identities, God-given identities. And so mine, if you want to know, is an 8. I have the 8 identity, or 8. It's not a personality, because personality can change. But identity, fundamental identity, I believe, anyways, and I'm not here to press my beliefs on you. I personally am a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe in the Holy Spirit. But I'm not a preachy Christian. So when I talk about what I believe, I'm not trying to tell you what you should believe. But this is what I believe, and it's my channel, so deal with it. But anyways, so I believe that identity is fundamentally spiritual, and fundamentally spiritual in design. And so for me, as an 8, my greatest fear is the fear of being controlled, or the fear of losing control. At least that's the greatest fear for 8s in general, and it's something I've definitely struggled with, and I have to continually give that over to God on a regular basis. But all that to say is that I really like things, I get excited about things that offer new choices, that offer freedom. And so, do I want to do van life forever? Probably not, but it depends, I like the one thing, one of the core things I like about van life, that I like about mini homes, or that I like about the idea of off-grid living, is this idea of freedom in terms of I don't know if you would call it self-dependence or if you would just call it freedom, but it's the idea. Okay, so like for instance, I bought a solar panel. I mentioned that previously, and next I need to get a charge controller, and I already have an inverter. So I have an inverter from Shoemaker, and a 410 watt inverter, and then I'll need a deep cycle battery. But once I have those components, the deep cycle battery, the inverter, the charge controller, and the solar panel all linked together correctly, then I will have achieved some amount of energy independence, which means that I will need to burn less gas or no gas in order to power my cell phone, my laptop, maybe a heater, etc., etc. And so I'm like so stoked about achieving that. I just had an idea today for a water system I could install. I'm gonna have to do some more research, but I just had an idea for a water system I could install that recycles my water and makes it pure again, and makes it to where I can minimize or eliminate my need to get new water, and those would be two of my major needs. Another one would be food, and I'm not sure if I could grow food in my van, but there's a way, there's a system I could build to provide those things. And I love thinking about systems, and I love thinking about how those things work. Eventually what I'd like to do is I'd like to graduate to perhaps an underground home or a partially underground home, because they cost a lot less money to maintain their temperature or their environment, because the earth at the surface stays at about 56 degrees, so it takes less heat to warm up and less cooling to make it cool, like during the summer. And so like doing that, and then like having hydropower and solar power, and then having energy dependence, energy independence, water independence, and perhaps food independence, and also monetary independence. Having a series of books, a series of lectures for sale for my online business, and having also my investments working for me while I'm sleeping, which is something born out of the financial independence movement, or Robert Kiyosaki, or whichever vein of financial education you come from. But I like that idea. It gets me excited. And why am I talking about this? I suppose I want to pass that on to you. I want to offer you in this channel, I want to offer you the value of seeing my journey with this. And I think anyways, I'm pretty philosophical, and so for me, if I don't know I want to know the philosophy behind why I'm doing something. And so the philosophy of independence, of off-gridness, not to the prepper degree necessarily, but hey, the idea of being independent, not in having to depend on the government or to depend on like family or friends unnecessarily, because I think interdependence is good, but codependence or dependence can be damaging. And like one of my favorite channels is My Self-Reliance, and he's not about isolation, but he's about depending on his own efforts. And not so anyways, these are some of my thoughts for the day. If you like these thoughts, if you learned something, if this helped you today, press the thumbs up and subscribe and hit the bell. And thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.